This is the story of the mysterious presence we know as Xal'atath. A story that is not yet finished, but that will have its climax in the next chapter of the history of the universe, when midnight threatens to engulf existence. Xal'atath is the name of a weapon. The entity imprisoned inside has a different name. There are at least 2 other sentient weapons with similar names that served the will of the void. Among them, more famous is Xal'atath, desecrated image of Gorhal. Garrosh used this blade after discarding the weapon of his ancestors and became an avatar of Y'Shaarj by absorbing the energies remaining in the heart of the old god. The entity we know as Xal'atath is a goddess, and though she is not mentioned, her presence is hinted in the Tauren legend, Eyes of the Earth Mother. In the story, the Earth Mother gives birth to Anshe, the sun god, bringer of life burning and bright, and to Musha, the moon goddess, bringer of rest, tranquility, and healing. The children grew playing with the elements, and in time, Anshe learned how to influence the elements of fire and earth, and Musha befriended the elements of water and wind. Feeling weary from her works of creation, the Earth Mother knew she had to rest, but was afraid that the Old Ones will corrupt her children. She pressed Anshe into her eyes, causing the light to fade and bringing night to Azeroth, creating peace and calm. She then took Musha, and with the light of her love returning to her fully, she slept while the elements guarded against the shadow. Her children provided light to the world, one at a time as she slept. However, during her slumber, they could not guide the elements, allowing the coldness of shadow to creep in, heralding winter. Seasons changed, and as time passes, the sun and moon learned to control their coming and to withstand the dark. When the Earth Mother's song of life sank deep into the earth, new life appeared and emerged from the caves. These were the Shu Halo, ancestors of the Tauren. They learned to commune with the elements and honor the sun, moon, and the Earth Mother. Despite the celestial children growing strong against the darkness, the young Shu Halo remain vulnerable to the Old Ones, who wait patiently to strike. As the Earth Mother falls asleep again, the shadows crept through the cracks and the crevices of the world. With their poisonous whispers and innumerable voices, they taught the Shu Halo hatred, anger, greed, sorrow, and war, turning some against their brethren. The children of the plains learned to dominate and use the elements in their strife, pitting them against each other. Some lost themselves completely to the whispers of madness, their souls consumed by chaos. Anshe and Musha called their mother. Seeing the disaster, she wept a single tear of sorrow. The tear dropped on the earth, birthing the blue moon, Losho, the hope. Realizing she can no longer safely protect her children, and fearing she might succumb to darkness and be the reason for their fall, the Earth Mother removes her children from her eyes and lies frozen in sorrow. Anshe and Musha proceed to hunt down what corrupted the Shu Halo. The darkness was like a beast, reaching with its slithering grasp, seeking to tear and sunder. Where the sun's burning blades hit, shadows retreated, and where Musha's glimmering arrows stroke, the whispers evaporate. Just as they seemed to be winning, a shadow lashed out, aiming for Anshe's heart. Musha loosed an arrow, cleaving the darkness in twain, but Anshe was wounded. He fell, his blood welling between his fingers. Musha tried in vain to heal the wound with wind and water. She called to her mother. She came guided by the 2 elements and knelt beside the twins. With her fingers wetted by her son's blood, she found his face. She asked what had become of the darkness. The beastly shadows were driven back for now. The Earth Mother decides she has to contain the shadows. Anshe was wounded. Musha couldn't fight, for she had to stay by his side and keep him alive. And though the Shu Halo were free of the darkness, they were tainted, so they will draw the shadows to them. So the Earth Mother pressed the blue moon in Musha's arms and told the three children they will have to chase away any traces of shadow she could not hold. Then she summoned the elements and rooted herself in the planet to battle the shadows, never to rise again. The beating of her heart dug deep once more. She will stay in the darkness, keeping it at bay and the world safe. In the story, the Tauren are describing what they see in nature. They give an explanation for the movements of the sun and of the moon in the sky, and for the succession of the seasons. They recognize that those two celestials influence the cycles of nature, with the sun sustaining life in its blooming phase and the moon giving it the necessary tranquility and rest. There is no mention of death, though the arrival of the winter implies it. As the sun and both moons are said to have originated from the light of the Earth Mother, it's plausible that, to preserve cosmic balance, another entity came into being. A child born of shadow, and Shul, the son of death. Shul means death in Shathya, the language of the old gods. This child might be the entity we know as Xal'atath. Like the old gods, she is a consequence of the insidious influence that the darkness had on the Earth Mother's submerged mind, her unconscious perception during her sleep. She and the old gods have the same masters, the Void Lords. It has to be noted that, though none of the old gods mentioned in their whispers to have masters, the chronicles state that they were created by the Void Lords. From the greater energies that marked the first days of reality's existence and her growing negative thoughts, materialized in the physical world beings that, driven by insatiable hunger and tethered to the tumult of the world soul's emotions, her doubts, her fears, fed on her living energies. Those are the old gods, and the reason why they cannot be killed is because they exist in the Earth Mother's mind. That is why it will be very interesting to see how they prepared for her awakening. The creatures associated with the sun are the hawk, the falcon, and in particular occasions, the phoenix. The moon is linked to the owl, as we see in the depictions of the goddess made by the night elves. And Shul is a serpent. If this reminds you of the story of the three gods from Draenor, Rukma, Anzu, and Seath, you are not mistaken. And this might be its whispering, manipulative heart,